The first time Captain Elias Ward saw her was on the frozen plains of Draxel 9, a world where the air itself cut like shards of glass. The expedition had been doomed from the start, but humanity never did anything halfway. When rumors spread of an ancient alien artifact buried in the ice, the United Terran Federation sent a team to retrieve it, because curiosity was humanity's most dangerous and most beautiful trait. What they found wasn't just an artifact. It was her. Beginning, discovery. She emerged from the wreckage of an ancient temple, tall and angular, with skin patterned like obsidian and molten gold. Her eyes glowed faintly like embers burning under ash. The soldiers with Elias drew weapons instinctively, their voices sharp, their movements frantic. The alien woman stepped forward, her long claws dragging sparks across the ice as if daring anyone to challenge her. They said she was Zithra, last scion of the Valen Dominion, a species that had once enslaved 100 worlds before mysteriously vanishing 10,000 years ago. Legend said the Valens drank the life force of other beings, that they commanded storms, that they ruled with absolute cruelty. Every soldier who looked at her felt their stomach clench with primal fear. One even dropped his weapon and ran. Elias saw their faces, pale, trembling, eyes wide with horror. But for some reason he didn't feel the same. His heart raced, yes, but not with fear. More with fascination. Her gaze swept across the humans, and finally landed on him. She tilted her head, studying him as though he were some strange insect that refused to scurry away. "Everyone is afraid of me," she said in a voice like thunder softened to silk. "But why are not you afraid of me, human?" Elias lowered his rifle slowly. "Because I don't know you yet." That answer made her pause. For the first time, something flickered in those burning eyes. Confusion, maybe curiosity, but not rage. Middle, uneasy alliance. The team wanted to leave her behind, or better yet, bury her in the ice again. She was too dangerous, they argued. Too ancient. Too unknown. But the Federation's mission protocols were clear. If an intelligent being was discovered, it had to be preserved, studied, and if possible, negotiated with. Elias volunteered to be her handler. Some called him insane. Others called him brave. But he felt something deeper. An inexplicable pull, as if fate had woven their paths together long before he was born. Zithra refused chains, refused containment. Instead, she walked freely among them, towering over humans with a kind of regal disdain. Her voice carried weight, and when she spoke, even the officers listened, though fear dripped from every pore. Everyone avoided her. Meals were eaten in silence if she was present. Soldiers whispered prayers when she passed. Scientists recorded data from a distance, their hands shaking too much to hold instruments steady. But Elias, he spoke to her. First it was small things, asking where she came from, what the temple had been, how she had survived in stasis for millennia. She answered sparingly. Yet with each word, he pieced together fragments of a fallen empire. Her people had been feared, yes, but not without reason. They had been warriors, conquerors, and rulers of fire and storm. She had been a general, forged in endless wars. When their empire collapsed, she had been entombed alive, the last survivor of her dynasty. "Fear kept my empire alive," she told him one night as they sat beside a flickering heat lamp in the frozen outpost. "Fear kept my enemies silent. Fear kept my soldiers obedient. Without fear I was nothing." "And now?" Elias asked. She looked at him, eyes glowing in the dim light. "Now, no one kneels. No one obeys. And yet you do not tremble. Why?" Elias shrugged. "Maybe because I've seen monsters before. And you don't feel like one." That answer unsettled her more than any weapon could have. Test. The day came when the Federation ordered her transport to Earth. They wanted her studied in the great orbital stations, dissected if necessary. Elias opposed the decision, warning that treating her as a specimen rather than a person was reckless. But his protests were ignored. Zithra knew. She could smell fear in the crew, sense betrayal in their eyes. The night before the transport, she confronted Elias. "They will bind me," she said. "Cut me open. Take what they do not understand. I should kill them all before they can." Elias stood firm. "If you do, they'll send fleets after you. You'll prove every story about your people true." Her claws extended with a metallic scrape. "Perhaps the stories are true." He didn't flinch. Instead, he stepped closer, close enough that the tips of her claws hovered near his chest. His breath fogged in the cold air, but his eyes never wavered. "You asked why I'm not afraid," Elias said softly. "It's because fear makes people blind. I'd rather see you as you are, not as the stories say. You're not just a weapon. You're someone who survived everything the universe threw at you. Someone who deserves a chance." The silence that followed was heavy, dangerous. Then slowly, impossibly, she retracted her claws. "You speak like no other," she whispered. "Perhaps. You are the fool I have waited 10,000 years to meet." Middle rising conflict. The ambush. The transport never reached orbit. Midway through ascent, raiders struck. Alien mercenaries who had been tracking the artifact's signal. They wanted Zithra for themselves, to sell her to the highest bidder. The ship tore apart under cannon fire. Flames and debris scattered across the ice fields. Elias woke amid wreckage, bleeding, disoriented. And standing above him was Zithra, unscathed, her obsidian skin gleaming with firelight. Around her lay the broken bodies of mercenaries, shredded like paper dolls. "You live," she said, pulling him to his feet with surprising gentleness. "Good. You will not leave my side." Together they fought through the ruins. She tore through enemies like a storm-given flesh, while Elias used his rifle and quick thinking to cover her flanks. They moved like two parts of the same blade. Her raw power and his sharp precision. At one point, when a mercenary aimed a plasma cannon at Elias, Zithra leapt in front of him, taking the blast across her armored skin. She staggered, smoking, but stood firm. "You protected me," Elias said, stunned. She smirked, blood and fire dripping from her lips. "I cannot have you dying before I find my answer." Climax. The choice. By the time the Federation rescue team arrived, the mercenaries were dead or scattered. The soldiers who emerged from the dropships stared in awe at Zithra, surrounded by corpses, her massive frame silhouetted against burning wreckage. Every instinct screamed at them to shoot. Fear radiated from their eyes. But Elias stepped forward. "Stand down," he barked. "She saved us. If it weren't for her, none of us would be alive." The commander sneered. "She's a threat, Captain. Orders are orders. Step aside." Elias knew what would happen if they tried to cage her again. She would slaughter them all. And perhaps she would be right to. So he made his choice. He stood beside her, rifle in hand, facing his own people. "If you want her, you'll have to go through me." A stunned silence followed. Soldiers looked at him like he was insane. Maybe he was. Then Zithra spoke, her voice carrying like thunder. "For 10,000 years I was feared. For 10,000 years I was alone. But one human looks upon me and does not tremble.